Hey guys, Caitlin with some Disney trips and tips for you today. We are going to talk a little bit about planning a Disney trip. We're going to focus this episode on staying off property, which is what Johnny and I are going to do for our upcoming trip in November. So we'll talk a little bit about how we're budgeting everything, the plans that we've made, and different ways that you can do things when you plan your trip. So while it's amazing to stay on property, it's not always the best option for your family. So we are going to talk a little bit about that today. First thing I want to kind of go over is our flight. So to keep everything in budget, we were able to get the Delta American Express Platinum card. And when you spend a certain amount of money in the first 3 months, you can get an extra X amount of bonus points. So that is something that we used this year to gain points for Delta. So we were flying Delta. We were able to use our points after a little bit of a snafu. We are using those points to fly from Saturday to the following Sunday. So just over a week for our trip. We normally fly Spirit, honestly, because it is the cheapest. It is no frills. You pay for what you get for. We always joke that, you're paying for air when you fly on Spirit, but honestly, for Florida, for Orlando, it is a quick trip. So it's about 2.5 hours up and down, and you don't need a lot of that extra stuff. So everybody's got their preference of what airline they like to fly. We tend to fly the cheapest that we can. That fits within our parameters. We usually fly from a weekend to a weekend. So those flights tend to be a little bit more expensive, but you can always find deals. Just gotta keep looking for them. The flexibility will definitely help you when you're planning your trip. If you're able to fly out on like a Thursday or a Wednesday, come back on a Tuesday, that is gonna help when it comes to cost for flights. The next thing, so we are staying off property, is that we need a rental car. It just helps us throughout our week. We don't Disney every single day. We will be in the parks 3 days a week, 3 days during that week, and then we'll venture on property, Disney Springs, that kind of stuff throughout the week. But we also spend time at the condo that we're staying at. We spend time in areas that Johnny likes to go to because he lived down there for a couple years. So having a rental car is certainly helpful. You don't need it, but it's a great way to go. One of the downsides of it is that you have to pay for parking when you head into the parks. So there are a couple ways around that, but you do have to pay for parking when you head into the parks for that. We used Costco for our rental cars. The last couple years, it's come across as the cheapest. You can certainly search on Travelocity, on Expedia, all of those different things to find a rental car and whatever's going to be best for you. There's definitely varying levels of rental car companies. So we just go on Costco.com and utilize their site. One of the nice things with that is that they will adjust the price for you. If you pop on a few weeks later or a month later after you've booked your car and you see that it's less money, they will adjust that for you. So I think that's definitely a nice perk from using that service. But there's all sorts of ways to find rental cars throughout the area. Some of them are right at the airport and some are just a little bit down the road. So it depends on what you want to do. And we tend to stick with just a really basic car to save money. So that is something that we use. Again, we do our research on it. We look at all the different sites for it, but find that Costco Travel has the most reasonable pricing when it comes to rental cars. There's a ton of options to stay when you head down to Disney World. So that we were going to focus a little bit on off-property staying. So that is what we are doing this time, but certainly you can stay on property, and I will talk way more about that in a different vlog. But for this one, we are going to talk a little bit about staying off property. We have a condo for the week, so that is something that allows us to be able to be in the parks and enjoy all of that, but to take a step away from it and just kind of relax. The condo complex that we stay at is called the Windsor Palms. It's about 15-20 minutes from the park, so it's super easy to get to, but it allows us a little bit of that seclusion. There's a pool, there's a tiki bar, and tennis courts, that kind of thing. So we can just kind of go back, relax, take our time. We don't have to be in that hustle and bustle the whole time. So it really works out because it is a vacation for the two of us. So that is something that we enjoy about that. And again, it's really close. So if we want to head into Disney Springs or we want to make a reservation at a Disney hotel for dining, we're able to do that and get there relatively quickly. That is one of the things. If you have a rental car, you're paying to park, but if you have a dining reservation at a hotel, you are able to park for free, which is kind of a nice little tip. So keep that in mind. we can talk about some of the tricks with that later, but that is one of the nice things. You can just let them know. You can show them their reservation on your My Disney Experience app and be able to park at that resort for free. So on the tail end of our trip, we have to have a hotel for 2 days. Our condo is Friday to Friday. Our trip is actually Saturday to the following Sunday. So we looked at a ton of different options. I would have loved to have stayed on property because Johnny has never done that before. It's Riley ringing the bell there. But we checked all of our options. We went through the different deals that are posted, the promotions that are going on, and we're going to be staying at a hotel. We're staying at the V Resort Hotel and Spa in the Disney Springs area. So that is a hotel that is a Disney partner hotel. They have a couple of the perks that you can get while staying at a Disney resort. You can book your fast passes in advance. They have a lot of partnership options. So we're staying right there, just really close to Disney Springs. We actually can walk there from there, and that'll just be our hotel for that Friday night and Saturday night. I've heard some really great reviews. A couple of the Instagram people and vloggers that I follow have stayed there, so I'm interested to try it. The restaurant looks really cool, and it was a good deal for Johnny and I to be able to book that for those last 2 nights. So again, you can stay on property the entire visit. There's the value resorts, the moderate resorts, and then you can even go a little bit higher with that with your resort stay. But we are opting to stay off property this time. My poor little dog is sad that I'm not paying attention to her. So what we do when we go into the parks, we're actually doing a 3-day park hopper. So we won't be in the parks every day of our trip. Again, this is a vacation for both of us. So we have chosen to do a 3-day park hopper pass that allows us to get to all the parks that we want to get to, but still allows us all of that extra time to just kind of relax and actually have a vacation. Sometimes Disney vacations, you need a vacation from it. We've managed to kind of find a really good balance between going to the parks and being at the condo and just relaxing by the pool and bopping around town, maybe a couple rounds of golf in there as well. So we do the 3-day hopper. As you purchase more days on your park tickets, your price goes down per day. So that is definitely a nice thing. If you're going to go for several days, that price decreases every day that you purchase a ticket for. So with the park hopper pass, we can go in any of the parks, any of the days. You can do a single park day ticket. So it'll be 1 park per day. They've just recently released a new ticketing plan too, that you can go into the parks at a discounted rate after noon, which is seriously a great deal. I think it's about $80 to do that. And if you are planning on relaxing in the morning, that is a really great option. Most of the parks have extra magic hours. They have extra hours just in general. And that is a really good option. So for us, we like to kind of take our time in the morning, and that allows us, that type of thing would allow us to go to the parks at noon, enjoy it for the rest of the day, 9, 10 o'clock. So that is a really great option. And if you're looking to save a little bit of money, that is a great way to do it. We have some dining reservations while we're there. This particular trip, we didn't go crazy on our dining reservations. We actually are not doing any dining reservations while we are in the parks. We're going for Epcot Food and Wine Festival, so that will take up 1 day of eating for us, but we have a couple reservations. We did a breakfast reservation at 1900 Park Fair, which is over at the Grand Floridian. We did a Art Smith's Homecoming reservation for dinner, and then we have an Ohana reservation on our last night over at the Polynesian. So that's going to be really fun, but we kind of left it open for ourselves, so we're not locked down. I know it's really exciting to go to all the restaurants there, but that ends up costing more. So there's plenty of quick service food inside the parks that is absolutely fine. It's not just burgers and fries. They have a lot of different options, and they cater to a lot of different dietary restrictions. So not only do they have gluten-free items, they have vegan items, they have things without nuts. So anything that you might be worried about from a dietary standpoint, they are very, very accommodating. It might not be on their general menu. All you have to do is ask your server, and they will bring you the menu that is special to your dietary needs. So that's something that's really cool. But any dining reservations that you do make, whether they're in the parks or the resorts, you want to make those in advance. You can definitely get reservations last minute. People are canceling and changing all of the time. We've been able to get some cool reservations that way, but you will want to kind of lock something in, especially if it's a restaurant that you want to go to. And we'll talk about Disney dining a whole other time, but just a tip on that is to book in advance with those. We also dine off property. So one of the perks of being off property is that we have a whole slew of options. So we will sometimes go to the Walmart that's just up the road. We'll get some snacks, we'll get pop, we'll get stuff for the condo. But you know, we'll hit up Chick-fil-A, or we'll hit up Waffle House, or we'll hit up a really cool pizza joint down the road. So that is another way to kind of save money on that, is that you don't have to eat in the parks. A lot of the food in the parks is a lot of meal. One thing that I've learned is that you can get the kids size. It's generally a couple dollars cheaper and about the same portion. So those meals, if you don't have to do like a breakfast, lunch, and a dinner there. So you can kind of time that out differently while you're there. Another really great thing for dining is going to be Disney Springs. So every year we always head to Boathouse on our first night there. We came across it on an absolute accident, and now it's kind of our tradition. I've gone with my girlfriends this year. So Disney Springs offers a ton of dining, a ton of bars, shops, all that in one area. So that is a really great option, and a lot of times you'll have more availability in those Disney Springs restaurants while you're wandering around. So you might be able to get something last minute. They have a lot of specials. There's a lot of really cool stuff in the Disney Springs area. So just a little quick rundown of how we booked our trip this year. Again, staying on property is amazing, but there's other options while you're there. You can stay on, at hotels that are close to the area, that are Disney partner hotels. You don't have to stay there. You can rent a house through Airbnb. You can get a condo, a lot of different options. And those can make a huge difference in what you're able to do while you're there financially. You can spend a little bit less money by staying off property. Maybe you're able to spend a little bit more money in the parks on dining, if that is your thing. So definitely a lot of different options available for you for your trip planning. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. I am happy to answer them. By no means am I a travel agent, but I have been several times, so I'm happy to help you working on planning your trip. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to this video, and stay tuned for the next one.